So would you describe yourself as a Thatcherite then?
Yes, I would. I mean, she was the defining political figure of my kind of teenage years, and your teenage years are what defines lots of things about a person.
Yeah.
We're in Braintree with James Cleverly, taking Coco and Horatio for a walk around his constituency.
James Cleverly went from newly elected MP to chairman of the Conservative Party in just 4 years. He's a Johnson loyalist and a Brexiteer. We met him while he was walking his dogs to try to understand how a kid from Lewisham grows up to be in Boris Johnson's cabinet. Chairman of the party.
Yeah.
You were elected in 2015. It's been a fairly astronomical rise for you. Quick on the up. Everyone was talking, made a big deal about Amber Rudd when she went from, She went from, I think it was about 3 or 4 years where she was from MP to one of the big offices of state.
Yeah.
Likewise for you, isn't it? 4 years, chairman of the party, you're doing pretty well.
I mean, but politics at the moment is weird. And I think measuring anything that happens in politics at the moment against anything that's happened before is maybe a bit artificial. And obviously I worked with Boris at City Hall when he was Mayor of London. And often with politics, you're putting a team together who don't know each other. Mm-hmm. And that takes a bit of time. I mean, I worked with Boris, as I say, when he was Mayor. I was part of his team at City Hall. So he knows me, he knows what I'm good at. And so, at a time like this, I think he wanted a number of people around him that were kind of known quantities, that he could just say, right, there's a job, put you on that job, let you get on with it kind of thing.
Yeah. There were a few, weren't there, from City Hall who sort of got the move into the cabinet, weren't there?
Well, there's a number of, so we've got Kit, who's the policing minister. Mm-hmm. Kit used to run the police authority in London, so genuinely a subject matter expert, really knows his stuff.
Yes.
Part of the number 10 team, number of people from number 10, Eddie Lister, he was at City Hall. And again, it's, I think with Boris stepping in as Prime Minister in a very intense period of time, I mean, properly in at the deep end, straight into the European negotiations, none of this luxury of a kind of honeymoon period or anything. You need people that are ready to just plug and play. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, the number of people who he has worked with before and he knows can just be put on a task and just start delivering. There are thousands of people in this constituency who voted to remain. Yep. And I was knocking on some doors today, and there are people who, voted to remain, and they are, worried and they're uncertain. And what we all need to do is make sure that I think we respect and deliver the referendum result, because I genuinely think to fail to do so is not a credible option. There was a vote, there were a whole series of promises, and democracy relies on politicians promising to abide by votes. And that's, for me, I think so key.
Fundamental to our democracy, really. So
But the people who voted to remain did so for a reason, and we need to show them that we are not ignoring their concerns and worries.
That's what I was going to ask you about then. So when you say that to someone who's a Remain voter, might have voted Conservative in the past, I don't know, Labour, Tory, whatever, but is Remain minded, and now obviously Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been a bit more bullish, a bit more aggressive around Brexit than perhaps Theresa May was, and perhaps those people are now becoming increasingly worried about what it means. What do you say to them?
Well, I think Brexit really was a binary process. You're either a member of the European Union or you're not a member of the European Union. And implying there are various degrees, I think, was really unhelpful. Because once we've left the European Union, a lot of things that we think of as European Union-y stuff, immigration policy, trade policy, that kind of stuff, they become choices of the domestic parliament, of the UK Parliament. And we can make choices that I think will calm the nerves of some of the people that voted for Remain. So, for example, making sure that European European Union citizens who live and work and have made their lives in the UK are able to continue to do so. I think that demonstrates the fact that, you know, we are still a generous, internationally focused country, making sure that businesses can still transact internationally. Those are some of the things that people voted Remain for. You know, still having a really strong commitment to the environment and workers' rights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those, I think, are a lot of things where we say, look, we are still going to be the good guys in the world. You know, we're not going to turn into something that you won't like and don't like. For me, the fundamental dishonesty behind the Labour Party's pitch is when Corbyn says, I can't tell you what we're going to do with Brexit, but I can tell you all these other things afterwards. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. For example, we look at the Labour Party's plans, talking about massive renationalisation. Well, how does that fit with state aid rules? Okay, so they can't really talk about that stuff with great credibility until they have a plan as to whether or not they're going to be in the EU.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of those fork in the road things. They talk about their financial, huge tax running a massive deficit. I mean, they're talking about a huge deficit. Well, how does that fit with the EU Growth and Stability Pact?
Yep.
I remember the winter of discontent. That was a big thing in my memory as a kid. I remember the strikes. I remember the bin liners being piled up.
Yeah.
And I remember it getting better through the 1980s. And so I've always had this kind of interest in politics, and I suppose that experience is why I gravitated towards Conservative politics. I completely understand and respect the fact there'll be people in the Labour movement who will have seen the decisions that were made in the late 70s and early 80s and through the 1980s and viewed them as being wrong. And that will have triggered a reaction in them.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I think we're at another big point of change. In 20 years' time, there'll be a political generation who, when they're doing their geopolitics interviews of the future, will define Brexit.
Yeah, something that galvanised them.
And Corbyn and Boris as the thing that got them involved in politics.
Yeah.
And it's not a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, actually. It's an inevitable and a good thing.
Yeah.
Last time I played rugby, I broke my little finger, which is really...
Oh yeah, I can see it's a little bit crooked.
But the thing is, it really, really hurts. But it's just such a pathetic looking injury. It's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
It is
Tiny
really
violin
painful.
again, yeah.
Exactly, back to that tiny violin. And because, of course, when you're in politics, you're shaking hands a lot. And when you've got a broken finger...
A lot of mileage, yeah.
I know. I don't get the sympathy I deserve for my broken pinky finger.
What position do you play?
Loose forward, so
nice. Yeah, me too.
number 8, flanker.